This is my friend Dawn. The last time we chatted was back on camera like this, was back in November. She has expanded her focus. She's an intuitive healer, and she's expanded her focus. She wants to talk about relationships and talk about what goes wrong. And she has a new group she's creating called Musings of a Butterfly. So welcome, Dawn Hehr. Say hello to everybody.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me today, Ralph.
Delighted. So we had a previous conversation, and basically, tell me what your expanded focus is. You've always done sound healings. You have your channel for the Intuitive Healer Tarot. You have your Facebook page where you make a lot of insights, post a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
What's this new branch of what you're doing now?
So I've been inspired to do a lot of different uncomfortable topics surrounding relationships. I have created this blog called The Musings of a Butterfly. And this is really all in regards to relationships and really uncovering the hard truths and really talking about things that we've been shoving under the rug or we just want to turn away and not chat about. And so this is just a new platform for me to start up a book that I will be creating from the musings of a butterfly. And this is part of it is my own experiences. The other part is, experiences of my family, my friends, my colleagues, and some acquaintances. And so I've kind of culminated a bunch of journaling around this subject. And I feel like it's time for me to get this off the ground and say, hey, look, we got to start being real with each other. We got to start having those heart-to-heart conversations about our past and not getting into new situations or new partnerships when we know that we have healing that still needs to be done. And so the reason for this is just so people can start to uncover and put themselves under a microscope and be very transparent about our hurts and pains and our past traumas so that we can recognize these hurts and start to deal with them, by way of alternative methods or meditation or counseling or whatever avenue we need, but just to be very proactive in our own healing and our own self-discovery.
So you're asking people to turn inwards, to look at themselves before they reach out to somebody else, to know what kind of person they are before they try to go out and change another person or hope that person will change them.
Well, and I think that's what we've been doing this whole time is that we think that once we get out of a relationship, we need to just jump back in so that somebody can fill the void of that pain and that hurt that we have for that past relationship. And that's where we're going wrong. That's why our relationships aren't lasting. That's why divorce rate is so high, because we are not taking the time to heal ourselves between those relationships and really identify through our words, through our actions of recalling the past and new partnerships as, that's a warning sign to let you know that, hey, there still needs healing in that avenue of your life.
I understand. Well, here, let me show, if you don't mind, I'm going to show a little bit of what I saw. So here's the blog post I found about you talking about, here. First, this is your Intuitive Healer Tarot YouTube channel. And you know what I found is I'm really, almost everything you talk about is relationships.
Right.
And then, of course, here's your Facebook. Oh, I was telling you, I love this picture. To me, this embodies a happy couple.
It does.
I mean, look, she's what term did you have for her?
She's a revelator.
A revelator. And what do you mean by that?
That she revels in her own joy.
Oh.
And, I guess the reason why I put that on my Facebook page is, if you say the quote on there, I don't see it right now, but if you...
There it is.
Yeah, so that is really what we need to be doing, is having, an opening for us to be authentic with each other. And for me, that picture is definitely, you know, and I say revelator, she's revelating in happiness, and she's inspiring him to, you know, come to that energy with her.
I'd
So
say
I
she
thought
has
it was really
inspired him.
cool.
Look at that smile. He's a happy man. She's
Absolutely.
dancing for him, and she's enjoying being the object of his attention.
Well,
Um,
and you know, the quote's all about, you know, don't make things worse.
that's
We
right.
already live in a world that's got some stuff.
And is this the first Musings of a Butterfly post you made?
Actually, I have two other ones, but unfortunately, Facebook took them down. And so I don't know if it was just because it was just verbiage instead of a picture, but all of my future posts are going to have this butterfly for those of you out there that are wanting to tune into all of this new literature that I'm going to be putting out about uncomfortable situations and conversations around relationships. You can look on my Facebook page and look for the butterflies, and you will find those blogs.
Very good. And as I understand it, is this going to be these blogs and the reaction to them are going to be sort of the source material for the book that you want to eventually write?
Absolutely. Well, every single one of these blogs are going to be a page on their own. And hopefully, at some point, I'll have a workbook that's going to be added to this on how to uncover some of those difficult topics and really, really get to the point and do the self-healing, the self-discovery work around this, because that's really the reason why I'm putting this out there. You know, although I do have my YouTube channel and I do readings about relationships primarily, I think the focus really is all about having a relationship with yourself and to create yourself in a way where you become a valuable partner for those people that you're wanting to partner up with.
Well, and also being authentically, authentically yourself. In other words, don't the comedians talk about those first 3, 4 dates. You're meeting the actor. You're
Absolutely.
meeting somebody who's
Well, and
pretending.
I would say, you know, there's an author named John Gray, and he's a doctor that has written a book called "Women Are from Mars," or "Men Are from Mars, Women Are from Venus." And one of the things that he talks about in there is how we communicate differently and how we are not proactive in our own healing, and that's why we're not communicating properly. And so, you know, a couple of the things that I'm going to be talking about are partly from his book, but also from other research and literature and experiences of friends and people that I know. So I want to really challenge people out there to really start to be more proactive. If you're out there searching for somebody, you know, to become transparent, put yourself under a microscope and say, hey, I'm still talking about past things, that means that that's a major identifier as to that there needs some healing implemented in your life in some way because of that past experience. Because I
And
think that's what we're doing nowadays, Ralph. We're breaking up with somebody and we feel hollow and we think we need to go out there and get into a new partnership to fill that void. And in all actual reality, what we need to do is take a step back from relationships and really work on ourselves.
right. And how do you recommend? So somebody says, okay, look, I've had a failed marriage, a series of failed relationships. Clearly, it's not all them, it's me. What would they do? What would you recommend as their first steps towards gaining self insight to change their behavior?
Well, I think really recognizing where their self-care resides, you know, like, are they getting enough sleep? Are they eating properly? Are they getting exercise? That's the first step as to self-care. And then the second step is for them to really recognize and be aware of their verbiage towards others in partnerships and relationships, because if they're repeating the same experience, the same story over and over to different people, well, that means that there's a thread there that really needs to be worked on, and that healing needs to be implemented towards that experience, and really for them to kind of take a step back from all relationships. And not that you need to be in hermit mode, but in order for you to recognize things about yourself, you have to pull yourself out of the limelight, or out of society, really, and just go into this introverted energy, so that you can really, really check yourself out, so you can take accountability for all of the things that you have been through, but also being very proactive in knowing that, hey, this still hurts, and not wanting to put that hurt on somebody else, because that's what we're doing in a lot of partnerships. We get into these relationships, and I bring my whole junk of trunk, and you bring your whole junk of trunk, and we put the junk of trunk together, and it makes this big wall between us, and we can't see each other. We can't connect. And so, we're essentially just building this wall right off the get-go, even though we have good intentions towards the partnership.
I absolutely agree with you. I would have said in the past that this is largely a female thing, because men don't have any insight. We're just, hardwired creatures. But now, of course, I know that's not true. There's a book that I bought just for this person I'm dating to, she recommended it. I said, well, I'll buy this book. And it's called,
Yeah.
well, you would think I know the title before I recommend a book.
Sure.
The man,
You
the
should put a
male
link
man.
down.
It's a book about how men think. Okay,
Sure.
and it had two parts. The first part is telling it's for women how men think and how to overcome sort of the way we behave. And it's little tiny
Yeah.
chapters. And then the second part is for men about how women think.
Oh,
So
wow.
we had this great time sitting down reading this book. And the problem I had was I started waiting, both of us, to be honest, started waiting to get to how women think, because the first part was essentially chapter after chapter of men are superficial and can be evil, and they're very
Oh, God.
self-centered. And, you are a glorious, glorious empress. You're a queen. You're a princess. Value yourself. Do this and that, right? And we sort
Right.
of got tired of that. Okay, the men's the schlub, the woman's valuable. Have faith in yourself. Then you get to the part for men, and we were both like, okay, this is gonna be great. I gotta see
Right.
what he has to say about women.
Yeah.
No, it was the same thing as for men, only this time it was telling for men to understand that hey guys, you're a schlub.
Oh my
Stop being a
gosh.
schlub.
See,
So
and honestly, that's what we've been doing, is like, we have this stereotype of how we want people to be. We also stereotype men and women in partnerships, and we need to stop doing this. We really need to, because I know a handful of really high integrity men that really are proactive in their own self-care, as well as women. So it's not just women are doing the work and the men aren't. It's just women are just verbally, emotionally expressing themselves, and men aren't. And that's the only difference. And men are more adamant to be subdued and be very cautious in their dealings with relationships, for fear of failure or fear of breakup. And so same thing with us women. It's just in a different way.
but I will say the reading of that book brought us closer together, because it was really just the focus to have us sit down and chat with each other. So,
Nice.
we'd read a couple of little chapters, and if there was something in there that made us want to talk to each other, the book became irrelevant. Now we just had this conversation,
Oh,
and I
wow.
think that's if you can't do that and you're in a relationship, you're not in a relationship. You're in something else going on there. If you can't talk to each other and gain that insight by chatting with the
Right.
TV turned off and cell phone put aside, then it's a relationship of convenience. It's not going to get to the heart of
Right.
things that will truly bring you together.
Well, and I think that's a good point that you say. It is a relationship of convenience, whether it be sex, or, you know, you need companionship. And I think that it's really wonderful that you guys sat down with a book and really talked about it, because that's part of the problem, is that we're stuck with these cell phones, this technology, and all this outside interference. And we really need to shut everything down. You know, one of my previous partners, we would read to each other, and what a beautiful, beautiful energy that you can create with that other person when you shut the world down and you start to get to a place where you can communicate, that it's just you and that person having a partnership and really talking about things, just normal things, you know. And nowadays, you go to a restaurant, like today I had lunch with a friend, and so, you know, he's looking over and he's like, do you realize that there's couples that came in here, and these couples came to eat lunch together, but they're looking at their phones and they're not even engaging each other. And so we started actually talking about my blog, and I was just totally shell shocked, because I was like, that's what we're doing. We are not connecting the way that we need to. And we're not having those conversations because we're letting technology run our relationship or influence our relationship. And, you know, it's really causing some major invaluable situations. Just awful. You know, I think some of the behaviors that we're expressing towards each other are very unwarranted because of the technology.
I agree with you. Well, so let me see here. I want to bring up I don't think I focused on it too much. Let me bring up your website here. Because I think that people should be aware that you have these services. The Intuitive Healer Tarot. There's a lot that you do. And you can book online. There's a lot about your past. So if people aren't coming to this website, we need a new picture.
Well, I'm trying to update my website, and just, you know, I take on about 10 different things. And right now I have about 10 different projects going on, you know, but honestly, the biggest thing that I do is I counsel people on how to be proactive in their own self-care. Right. And, you know, when you're being proactive in your own life and you're taking that initiative to really love yourself, that's going to be very expressive in your relationships, and it is going to spell success. So, you know, I think in speaking about this blog, you know, the main focus here really is about you, not so much the partnerships, as to how you can create this new energy around you that is more inviting for partnerships.
Well, you say that right here in this post I'm looking at. Self-work is key to understanding ourselves, checking out the world to understand our pain fully. This is needed in order to not spread more pain to others.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're talking about. So I'm hoping this group, I'll be part of it. I'll join in and happily participate.
Yeah, so I'll be doing a Facebook group called the Musings of a Butterfly. So those of you that want to tune into that, I will be putting those blogs on that page.
Excellent. And I'll be sure to highlight them. I'll after you create that group, I'll put a link to it in the description for the YouTube and the other. I'm going to put this on the various alternatives to YouTube as well.
Okay.
Well, Dawn, I'm looking forward to reading it. and following up, you know, see how this goes for you as you get the material to create this book you want to put out.
Well, and I also want to say too, is I have a couple friends that really are on, I say, the forefront of this type of project that I'm creating. And a lot of the things that they've been doing has really inspired me to create more around relationships. It's my friend Doug and Chrissy Scavese. And Doug is actually writing a book called, I believe it's called Conscious Coupling. And so he talks about some major insightful things, and they're a lovely couple. They they've gone through a lot of different things in their partnership, but somehow, some way, they tend to keep it balanced, even, around COVID and all the craziness. And they're really offering a lot of tools. You can find them on Facebook or even Instagram, because they're constantly kicking out information about how to solidify partnerships in a more healthy, more organic way. And so she offers a lot of physical stuff as far as like exercise and, being health conscious about your food. And he's more on the other side of the emotional system and the partnering. And so both of them together, they have a beautiful relationship. And, I'm constantly inspired by them because of their authenticity around partnerships and around love. And so it's really great to sit back and witness them in their, I say their beautiful space.
For me, it's very simple. If I'm going to spend the night, I'm in a new relationship, and I wear my Spider-Man slippers with the glow of the dark eyes, if she accepts that and doesn't say, "Oh, I see you never quite grew up," then we're good. That's a good start towards acceptance.
And she had you at Spider-Man slippers, right?
Spider-Man slippers and my Marvel pajamas. So
Yeah.
it's the important things, Dawn, that matter.
It is, and that's why I want people to really start taking a step back and recognizing that, it's okay if you go through a horrible breakup and, you become celibate for a little bit. There's a time where you need to, heal. You need to set yourself aside from that experience and understand it and understand the valuable lessons that it held. Because a lot of times we get out of partnerships and we're like, oh, that person was a jerk, or that, person did this. And we're so critical about judging that other person. But in all actual reality, on an energetic sense, since I do energy work, I, try to interject with my clients a lot around the fact that those are valuable experiences and that we should be grateful for the experiences and what they showed us about ourselves and about the other people. And so, being really expressive with ourselves in that regard, I think it's really good for us to find that peace in those partnerships and not look at them in a derogatory way, but in a way of looking at them vicariously, in regards to the lesson, more than anything, because they are lessons. Ralph, we get in relationships so that we can grow. And if we're not getting in partnerships where we have that space to grow, then that's when, things fall apart.
I absolutely agree. Just looking back at my life, relationships I've been in, not one of them was wasted. Some didn't go well, or as well as I thought they might, because the end goal didn't happen. But I'll tell you, everything that happened to me in the past led to successful stuff today. I don't believe
Absolutely.
It's all in your attitude and what you take away from it. So I'm pretty sure your blog is going to help people look inside and pay attention a little bit.
Well, and stop shaming each other. I mean, we get out of partnerships and we want to pick that person apart even after the relationship has dissolved. We try to think of those things, but really what we should do is go back into the experiences with that partnership and understand, not bring out more hurt, but just understand why we experienced that, or why they felt that way, because we all have a part to play in every experience, and especially in relationships. There's not going to be a good person or a bad person, because both people are in that space of learning and growing, and that's where I come in and say, we've got to have these heart-to-heart conversations. We got to have our intentions in the right place when we get into a partnership, because a lot of times we're like, oh, I broke up with that person, and then we get into a new relationship, and without taking that time to heal, we bring in more baggage.
You're in the same relationship with a different person.
Yeah, it's the same experience, with a different partner. That's
Mhm.
all it is.
Yeah.
And so we really need to get real. We need to start being authentic with each other. And if we don't like somebody, don't get in a partnership with them. If you don't feel a spark, don't drag them through all kinds of stuff, wondering, if you're really all in or not. And I think that's the biggest point here is a lot of things have been very superficial in relationships because in the very beginning, maybe we had the right intentions, but somewhere along the way, our traumas influenced that situation and it fell apart. So, I think that we really need to be very proactive in all experiences. And that doesn't just mean our love, but, with our family, our friends, other people. I think it's really important that we become a good partner for anyone that comes into our life.
I like that. And that's a nice way to end this interview and introduction to your new endeavor. I appreciate the time here.
Thank you, Ralph.
All
I
right. We'll
really
do.
appreciate you having me and having this conversation because you're going to see a lot more of this stuff coming from me. And I hope that, I at least make a little bit of impact in people's lives when it comes to love. Because, at the end of the day, Ralph, all we want is love.
That's right. Yeah. That's in the end, you just want to be, yeah, you don't want to go through life alone
Right.
necessarily, but you'd also don't want to be tortured by trying to be somebody that you're not ready for.
Right.
Well, thank you, Miss
Exactly.
Dawn. We'll do this
You're
again
welcome.
soon, and I'll follow the post and put the or follow the progress, and we'll chat about this as your work continues.
All right. Thank you so much for having me, Ralph. I really appreciate you allowing me this platform to be able to speak my truth. So thanks
Woohoo!
again.
All right, thanks.
All
Bye bye.
right. Take care.